Good afternoon. As the chair, I will call this meeting to order. We would like to begin by recognizing and thanking our Sergeant at Arms for being here with us today. From the Senate, we have Mr. Mike Harris. From the House, we have Ms. Teresa Ferguson and Mr. David Layton. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all that you do for us. In addition, we have General Assembly Police here. We have Officer Haley Roccagrande over here on my left. Sorry I couldn't see you. And Officer Thomas Rochford back in the back. Thank you for being here, everything you do. Okay, we will jump straight into the comment portion of the meeting today. Our format will be that we ask you to step up to the microphone. We will call 2 speakers. So I'd ask that you stand at least 6 feet behind the active speaker if you're the next one up, and we'll do that to save time from people walking up, because we do have over 30 speakers today. You will have 2 minutes to make your comments. We would like for you to approach the microphone and tell everyone your name, and if you represent an organization, please share that with us too. The committee is here to receive comments and hear your thoughts. We will take your comments back to the General Assembly. We will not be taking questions or having back and forth. This is about you and what you have to say today. We will ask that everyone be respectful, be considerate of each other, and we look forward to a great afternoon. And we are thrilled to be in Eastern North Carolina today and not in Raleigh. It's the greatest place on earth. So first up today, I'm going to ask Miss Ann Watson to come to the microphone. And behind Miss Watson, Miss Emily Keel.
Thanks so much. My name is Mary Ann Watson. I live in Greenville, North Carolina, in Pitt County. And I want to thank y'all for coming to Pitt County. We're a great county and very active politically, have a very active organization, and appreciate your giving us the attention to come out here. Secondly, I am disappointed that you picked 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a work day. You've eliminated how many people can participate in this. I'm here on my lunch break. I postponed my lunch break so I could attend this, but many people do not have that opportunity to do that. So you've limited the input by the timing of this event, but I appreciate you coming here. The thing I want to encourage you to do is to not draw the districts based on political parties. I do not think the legislators should be picking their own voters, but given that that's the way it's set up in North Carolina, I would ask that you not do that. And my reasons for that are because of the state of our country. We are polarized. And one of the reasons we're polarized is because we have our districts are so often based on political parties, which means that there's no good dialogue within the districts because the representatives have to be either one party or the other, so there's no compromise that can happen. If we can have non-party-drawn districts, we're more likely to have good dialogue and have good policies come out of that good dialogue, and that's what I would encourage you to do. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Stacy Jeff, if you'll please come up next. And before you speak, if I could, I failed to introduce my colleagues. I'll start on the left with Representative Linda Cooper Suggs, Representative Chris Humphrey, my good friend Senator Don Davis, Representative Candy Smith, and Representative Brian Farkas. And I'm Senator Jim Perry. So I apologize for missing those introductions, but thank you for being here today. After Ms. Keel, I don't see Stacy Jeff. I'll ask John. Please begin.
Hi, I'm Emily Keel, and I live in Martin County, a rural county of 23,000 people adjoining here. I'm a member of the NAACP there and of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. We want to remain as a unit in Martin County with no division of our population as you redistrict, no splitting us in the House, the Senate, or the U.S. districts. We are, for the most part, a multi-generational population, since not many people move to a rural area with fewer employment opportunities. Our citizens have been farming and gardening together for generations. We're also bound by struggles to provide common services in our towns. They're so small. So people have trouble with utility bills. The provision of utilities is difficult and costly for low-income communities, and we've benefited from joining in cooperative efforts there. We depend upon each other to share resources and information, as we did when citizens were called on to help inform each other about the COVID vaccines and to transport each other to receive vaccines. So a population, such a rural population, the public transportation is limited, so we move each other around together. Many of us in the small communities are called upon to transport neighbors for appointments and groceries. Many of us live miles from medical care, from grocery stores and pharmacies, so networking to assist each other is common. There are only 2 public high schools in the county, and they encompass and tie together each of the smallest communities. We need to be able to work together to address our common problems with our elected state representatives, and so we need to remain an intact community rather than be divided into 2 as we were in the Senate at a previous time. Additionally, I insist that we be allowed to make public comments in numerous locations around the state after the proposal of maps is made. It's not acceptable to prevent all in-person comment or to limit it to 1 location. The public should also be able to see what has transpired in the legislature on a daily basis as the process of mapping takes place, perhaps through some online resource. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Ms. Gwen Green, Ms. Mary Perkins Williams, Mr. Alex Urban. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Gwendolyn Robinson Green. I'm a resident and homeowner in Greenville, North Carolina, and I'm very pleased to be here this afternoon, and I do thank you for giving us this opportunity to express our views in terms of redistricting. I, along with members of the organization that I belong to, a service organization, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, our members went out. We were a part of the complete count to ensure that as many African Americans as possible would in fact return the census information. And I stand here today and I encourage you to keep in mind that that the citizens of North Carolina are entitled to your respect as you consider how to redistrict the state of North Carolina. I ask that you maintain the integrity of the districts that you look at and consider. Be respectful, because people have worked long and hard to ensure that the census in North Carolina was done correctly and that its citizens were heard. I thank you for the opportunity, and I hope that you will consider those things that I've asked you to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Urban, and then Ms. Cindy Elmore, Christopher Mansfield after Ms. Elmore.
Good afternoon. My name is Alex Urban, and I am the advocacy coordinator for the Association of Mexicans in North Carolina, also known as Mexicon. Mexicon is a nonprofit organization that serves the Latino community across eastern North Carolina, and I am also a lifelong resident of Greene County, North Carolina. Today, I bring several considerations to the NC General Assembly in regards to the process and practice of redistricting. In 2011, the General Assembly held 60 hearings. In my and my organization's opinion, the 100 counties of North Carolina need to have more. With only 13 public forums, it makes it extremely difficult for the Latino community to drive and come to a hearing. Additionally, the basic outreach for events and opportunities such as this one, presented primarily in English, creates an additional hurdle for the Latino community and the organizations that serve them. Informing the community requires translating and disseminating information about these meetings, and it takes time and effort on behalf of community organizations such as ours. Absence of this leads to a large subsection of North Carolina's population ignorant of the rights and opportunities available to them. I ask that the outreach and promotional materials for these meetings be available in Spanish to the general public. Additionally, they should not be so rushed as to take away the ability of community organizers such as myself to prepare and inform the Latinx community. For our districts, both on the state and federal level, we ask that you draw them compactly and contiguously, creating districts that stretch from the coast to Raleigh, whose drawing is guided solely by political advantage, only serves to disenfranchise and divide communities, and divide the East. It is not a matter of language or color. With the composition of many eastern counties increasing with a larger number of Latinos, fair and equal districts have never been more important, especially when such cracked and fragmented districts diminish not only marginalized communities, say, but all voters' political power. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. It's good to see you. Ms. Elmore, then Mr. Mansfield, and Mr. William Pitt.
Good afternoon. I'm Cindy Elmore, and I live in Greenville. Please accept that the public really does care about a transparent and fair redistricting process. Most people can't come to hearings like this, but they do know and care about it. Here's what most people I know also care about. We want to see a process that does not consider partisan data, like voter registration levels or voting histories or incumbents' places of residence in this process. We want to see districts drawn that are contiguous, that are consistent with natural and political boundaries, like county lines, for example, and we want to see compact districts. So contiguous, compact, and consistent with natural boundaries. We're also tired. We're tired of the gerrymandering that no one can pretend hasn't happened in the state. We're tired of the millions of dollars of our tax dollars, our money, being spent on the costs of defending indefensible partisan gerrymandered maps. And we're tired of the justification always being, well, the other side did it first, which is what children say. We're tired of, in this state, of what always seems to be gleeful, hand-rubbing political machinations done to this process so that politicians entrenched in office can safely keep themselves there, which leaves half this state without proportionate representation. And we're tired that people pretend we don't have the computerized data technologies that make it pretty easy to draw maps that, for the most part, could follow contiguous, compact boundaries that put people together with the same geographic and municipal interests. That's all anybody wants, and it isn't that hard to do. And lastly, we're tired that North Carolina has become the country's poster child for partisan gerrymandering. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mansfield, Mr. Pitt, and Miss Linda Harper.
Thank you for the opportunity to comment today. My name is Chris Mansfield. I have lived in North Carolina most of my life, the last 45 years in Greenville. I'm retired now, but I had a bit of a job, a part of ECU's service to Eastern North Carolina and the state. Our rural communities and towns continue to lag behind in regard to economic opportunities, financial access to medical care, education, internet access, and infrastructure. We need and deserve representatives in the General Assembly and the U.S. House who will advocate for our needs and bargain for resources to address them. We're not getting the representation we need because the democratic system has been corrupted by extreme gerrymandering. We don't get to choose who represents us. You selected the voters. You need to get elected, beholden only to the small base voting in primary, special interests, and party leadership. Politicians, therefore, have little incentive to represent the whole district and do the hard work of crafting bipartisan, forward-thinking policy. I hope this won't be the only opportunity to comment. I hope there will be transparency so that citizens can see how the maps are drawn, be there when they are, and see who's drawing them. Will there be an opportunity to comment on alternative maps, on the ground rules, what metrics used to evaluate the fairness? I don't think residence of incumbents or candidates should be a factor. Splitting VTAs, towns, neighborhoods, and university campuses should not be allowed. I drew a map of congressional districts on my own and was able to get equal populations with minimal splitting of counties, no splitting of municipalities or voting districts. But I didn't endeavor to crack and pack them. I hope that won't be allowed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pitt, Ms. Linda Harper, Ms. Lori Yoshi Newman.
Thank you, Senator Perry. Thank you to the esteemed guests on the rostrum, to all those in the gallery. I would like to say that I believe that the district, not only should they be compact, they should be sensical. I've heard it said a few times before that our districts have been drawn with surgical precision to draw certain people out of the district. It is very important that everyone's voice be heard. It is very important that every vote counts. It is very important that we as citizens get to choose our legislators, not legislators choosing our citizens. So I ask, as these maps are drawn, they will be drawn fair, compact, sensical, and most of all, fair. Because that's all we really want in this world, just fair, just fairness. That's all we really want. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Pitt. Ms. Harper, Lori Yoshi Newman, and Carol Rados.
I'm Linda Harper from Wayne County. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for making this available on the internet as well as these 13 places that we have. Well, I would like to ask that all of Wayne County be placed in District 1. We are talking about contiguous places, so the whole county, we would like to be in District 1. If we need more people because of the decrease in population in the census, I recommend adding Sampson County because it is a rural county and the culture is much better fit for Wayne County. And we'd like to not to have any counties or towns or parts of towns west of 95 because east of 95 has a culture all of its own, and we enjoy that rural country. So I would like to be sure to all of Wayne County is in District 1, and that we have Sampson County added.
Thank you. Ms. Newman, Ms. Rados, and Ms. Diane Tyndall.
I'm Carol Rados, and I'm not representing any particular group. I do feel that this group did choose a bad day to have this hearing because today is Yom Kippur, which is a Jewish holiday, and it's not a holiday that you should be having hearings for the public. In your redistricting, I think the main thing that you need to think about is being fair and not focusing on parties and just focusing on the population and the communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Diane Tyndall, Ms. Minerva Freeman.
Hello, committee members, legislators, and all of my fellow citizens. My name is Lori Yoshi Newman, and I live right here in Greenville, Pitt County. I have heard so many compelling comments already. I hope you really have taken note of what people have taken the time to come here and say. I'm here to represent democracy. I'm here with an honest intention. I'm asking you for nonpartisan, fair, and equitable voting maps. We should have a truly independent commission to draw voting maps that do not benefit either party, candidate, or incumbent. We need maps that don't drag through the courts to conclude they were gerrymandered districts, which was obvious in the beginning. This undermines the very foundation of democracy. One person, One vote, and each vote is equal. All voices are heard. I'm impressed with the comments of our Mexican representative, who pointed out the inequities of the process, including the Mexican community being left out already. We need maps where neighborhoods and precincts are intact and districts are compact. The interests and needs of the community must come first. In our community, we need elected officials that lift up all of our community in poor and under-resourced areas. Officials who will effectively address extreme climate disasters, which will increase in both regularity and the destructive forces of flooding and high winds. We need laws that protect flood-prone areas from rampant development and the resources to provide rapid and effective disaster response and relief for those who are impacted by these human-made disasters. We, the people, want to elect legislators that are loyal to our communities and not to the parties themselves. We want democracy that is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, not politicians. Thank you.
Thank you. And we are joined by Representative Raymond Smith, who was a little detained being here, but Representative Smith joined us now. Ms. Diane Tyndall, Ms. Minerva Freeman, and then Mr. Michael Schachter.
Good afternoon. This is an exciting time for our state. I also drew a map last night, and I envy you guys. It's not an easy thing to do, but I did manage to get the boundaries fairly equal. Unfortunately, North Carolina's history with this process has been replete with challenges and court cases because borders have often encompassed those already in office. I would ask today that you create districts that represent all the people of North Carolina, drawn with boundaries that keep counties, voting precincts, and communities whole as much as possible. Please be mindful of shared culture and experiences such as our hurricanes in eastern North Carolina, and in doing so, make it possible that close neighbors within a county can contact the same individuals for help. Our young people have become apathetic about government because they feel that every issue is divided. Okay, thank you. Let's see. Let's use this process to treat people as individuals, not Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, and so forth, and make fair maps so that every voice can be heard. Thank you, and I'm not sure if I said I'm from Craven County. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Freeman, Mr. Michael Schachter, Ms. Sarah P. Connor.
And I'm Minerva, I'm Minerva Freeman. First, I would like to thank you all for coming here this afternoon and to listen to us. I am from a small community, Falkland, North Carolina, but I'm representing the Delta Sigma Theta Pitt County chapter. I am representing the National Council for Negro Women, and I'm also representing Pitt County branch of the NAACP. And the message they asked me to convey to you all is to be fair, to listen. That's what I believe that you're doing now, but to go back and draw the maps a little differently than what you've done in the past. I tell you, I have looked at some of the maps and they're zigzag. You know, it's crazy in a way of speaking the way they are drawn. And I believe that we can do better than that. And I would just encourage you to show that diversity as you draw the map, to make certain that everybody is represented, because that's what we need in a democracy. We need fair maps, if I could say that. And you kind of scared me, so I'm gonna go sit down. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Schachter, Ms. Connor, and Ms. Kelly Askew, I think.
Hi, I'm Michael Schachter from the nonpartisan Craven Get Out the Vote Coalition and the Tuscarora Rims Road community in Craven County. Having no preliminary maps to look at is a real problem. New maps that are drawn should be drawn in a nonpartisan way, not by legislators who are choosing their voters. That's what's needed. And also transparency in the map drawing. This needs to be followed by many more meetings that are at different times so that people can attend them, and that are also virtual, so that, especially at this time of COVID, so that people can comment. They don't have to be among other people, so that we can have public input across the state, especially in eastern North Carolina before the final maps are approved. I'm going to be very specific about the community where I live on Tuscarora Rims Road, the State Road 1224, is a historical Black community, but it has been split into two state house districts, District 3 and District 79, during the last redistricting. This area has absolutely no connection to the faraway Beaufort County and the city of Washington. The community's connections are with other communities of color off 17, such as Rocky Rim Road community, and even Jones County, which the Tuscarora abuts. The arbitrary dividing line is Bachelor's Creek, but there are members of the community starting below Clark's Road and over on Rollover Creek Road. The community would best be served if there was one state house district nearest to the city of New Bern. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Connor, Ms. Askew, and Pamela Woods.
Good afternoon. I'm grateful for this opportunity to be able to speak today. After listening to the speaker in front of me, it just like he read have the same intention that I have also written down. It's like I could just say ditto to the speaker that was just in front of me. I am too in opposition of having a public hearing prior to the maps being drawn. To me, it's like putting the cart before the horse. Why have a hearing not knowing where the maps are going to be drawn? I'm thinking, well, maybe you're getting input from us and then draw the map, and then you would bring the maps back to us so that we can make comments and we can have equitable map that will represent the public in a democracy way. Two, I am opposition of few hearings that are being held. For instance, like me, I do not drive long distance. So a lot of people are not afforded the opportunity to drive to attend meetings. Also to keep the municipality together so there would not be confusion within the community, and that we would have pure unequal representation, so that we would not have unequal representation for ethnic group. These things and other things cause us to have insufficient representation that will harm us for the next 10 years. Thank you for your time, and we do want to have an opportunity to comment once the maps are drawn.
Thank you, Ms. Askew, Ms. Woods, and Mr. Chris Suggs.
You almost got it right. It's Askew.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm used to it. My name is Kelly Askew, and I live in Ayden. I have two items on which I would like to comment. First, we do not want any partisan gerrymandering applied to the drawing of voting district maps, because it is not fair to the people of North Carolina. We want fair maps that do not have to be fought over in the court for years. We don't want them looking like a bunch of spaghetti thrown up on the wall. Packing one group into one district diminishes their voices. It deters people from voting, and this isn't fair. And finally, the extreme partisan gerrymandering in North Carolina has been an embarrassment, as it has been in the national news so many times. Let's draw maps that we can all be proud of. The second item upon which I would like to comment is regarding municipal boundaries. I am a resident of Ayden. We are a part of the 12th House District and 3rd Congressional District. We have been sliced off the bottom of Pitt County, of which we are an integral part. Many of us work, play, go to school, and do business in Pitt County and pay taxes. We do not relate to Lenore County, and it is confusing to people to know where to go, who represents them, and how to vote. Please draw lines along county boundaries wherever possible. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you. Ms. Woods, Mr. Suggs, and then Ms. Ann Floyd Huggins.
Good afternoon. My name is Pam Woods, and I live in Craven County. I am representing not only the citizens of Craven County, but Craven County Branch NAACP. I have some things I don't have to mention, which has saved me some time. We've talked a lot about already the time of this meeting. We are thankful to have a meeting, but the time is not really conducive for as many people to get here, and the fact that there's no virtual advantage. Now, most citizens are at work at this time, so they're not here to speak. So I'm going to make some few points. I live in a residential area near Trent and Neuse Rivers. We have a number of manufacturing plants. We are growing in our retail centers. Craven County is known for its tourism. We are looking for a way to make sure we continue to have affordable housing, healthy food alternatives, safe areas for our children in public schools. So that reason I say all of these things is that we would like to make sure that our county is bound by a like county, a county that has the same sort of interests and economic problems that we have. We're trying to build, and we don't really want to be with the adjacent county that's going to outshine us, where we can't actually get representation or things working in our county because the other county has more advantage. We don't want political parties to be involved in these district mapping. It is very important that we consider the type of communities, the geographic areas, what the communities are known for, are working with, and what is working good in those communities when drawing the lines. It's important to our citizens that we be able to be represented by the right type of interests. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Suggs, Ms. Huggins, and Mr. Holden Spain.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Suggs. I'm 21 years old from the great city of Kinston in Lenore County, where I live, work, and love my community. So thank each of you for being here and your service to Eastern North Carolinians like myself, and I hope you take our thoughts into consideration. Kinston is a community with just over 19,000 folks. We have a population that is predominantly Black, and we have a history and culture that is threaded by our resilience in the face of natural disasters, being a focal point in the Civil War, a rich arts and music heritage, and the best baseball, basketball, and barbecue in Eastern North Carolina. It is necessary that communities of interest like Kinston be kept together in future legislative districts. Our community has been hit the hardest by some of our nation's greatest challenges, including hurricanes and flooding, exacerbated by the climate crisis, loss of major textiles and tobacco industries, causing poverty and population loss, and being ranked the #1 most economically distressed community in the entire state. So these issues, along with health issues exacerbated by COVID-19, have collectively caused reasons for us to be able to collectively organize and advocate and not want to be in split districts that serve party interest over public good. It is disappointing that the committee chose to hold only 13 hearings across the state in a state that has more than, or exactly 100 beautiful counties, and that the meeting times have not taken into consideration travel time, work obligations, or true accessibility. It is my request that once the drawings and maps take place, the committee holds additional hearings across the state, more than 13, and at accessible times and locations to receive public input and engagement. Thank each of you.
Thank you. Ms. Huggins, Mr. Spain, Mr. Tom Best.
Good afternoon. To the chair, I wear 2 hats. I am Ann Floyd Huggins, Chairwoman to the Pitt County Board of Commissioners. So my first hat wearing is to welcome you to Pitt County officially, to the committee. And we are so glad that you chose Pitt County as one of the locations to come and bring this information and give Pitt County citizens, as well as our neighboring counties, an opportunity to participate in this process, which makes good government. So if I take off that hat and become the citizen, now I will say that we encourage you, as you are redrawing the lines, that you draw districts that are compact. And of course, some of this have already been said, but I want to say it again. Because non-compact districts confuse voters. It splits community of interest and are often drawn to benefit certain voters or certain political parties. So as I said, some of this have already been said, and I want to repeat it for your hearing and for you to really consider it when you go back to draw the lines. Again, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Spain, Mr. Tom Best, Mr. Charles McLawhorn.
Good afternoon. My name is Holden Spain. I am the second vice chair of the Pitt County Republican Party. I would like to thank the committee first off for organizing this public forum and allowing the citizens of Pitt County and the surrounding area a chance to voice their concerns about redistricting. I understand that the process of redistricting is complicated and that it generates very strong opinions in citizens, as evident by the crowd we have here today. So I would like to encourage the committee and the General Assembly to work diligently to publish the proposed maps that they have in mind and to allow further time for the citizens of Eastern North Carolina and citizens across the state to comment on these proposed maps before they are voted on and decided by the General Assembly. Again, I'd like to thank the committee for organizing this public event. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Best, Mr. McLawhorn, and Mr. Donald Inslee.
Districts have taken off masks are very difficult with glasses. Thank you for your service to our state. I appreciate you holding this public hearing regarding new voting maps that must be drawn due to the recent 2020 census. I also ask you to return to Pitt County and share the maps you draw before you hold your final vote. My name is Tom Best. I'm a native North Carolinian and a Pitt County registered voter. I served a decade working with the Pitt County Board of Elections, first as a poll worker, then a precinct chief judge for several years, and finished working as the annex chief judge, where we handled all of the problems that occurred at the precincts. I ask you to keep the precincts whole. Do not split them between candidates. It causes confusion for the voters and sometimes the poll workers themselves. I learned from my tenure as a chief judge, voters are very serious when they enter the polls and many are anxious. Any unnecessary issue that can cause confusion and distrust among the voters must be mitigated or avoided altogether. A split precinct is one of those issues. I actually had a situation in my tenure where a voter came in, knew the individual that was the poll worker that was handing out the ballots, and read her ballot, came back to that poll worker and said, I can't vote for the candidate that you voted for. And they lived across the street from each other. The poll worker initiated an effort to give that voter the wrong ballot to satisfy that. Now, fortunately, I was told and I was there and I was able to mitigate that situation. We stopped it and it didn't happen. I look forward to seeing you again in Pitt County after the final maps are drawn. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Mr. McLawhorn, Mr. Inslee, Ms. Sandy Smith.
Thank you, Senator Perry. Members of the House and Senate, I too want to welcome you to Pitt County. We're so glad to have you here, and we're glad that you've come to our beautiful Pitt Community Campus to be here. The coin of the realm in Raleigh is partisanship. It is not racial composition or compactness or communities. It is partisanship. Now, it's not the will of the people that the political party in power, whichever party that is, and It has been the Democrats at times, and it's been the Republicans at other times. But it's not the will of the people that the party in power should set up voting districts to consolidate that power or to perpetuate their control of the legislative process by drawing district lines primarily with a view to partisanship. I have spent most of my life as an attorney. For 45 years, I've tried to promote the cause of fairness and justice, not only for my clients, but for my adversary as well. It is not fair and it is not just for our citizens that politicians seek ways to dilute some voters and increase the influence of other voters by the way the district lines are drawn. As you develop the maps, I urge you to rise above politics and look for ways to take partisanship out of the picture. Please respect the will of the people and don't cast our state back into the courts for what might be years of countless litigation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Inslee, Ms. Smith, and then Mr. Marcus Thompson.
Thank you, sir. My name is Don Inslee. My wife, Ramona Inslee, and I have lived in Greenville for 44 years. I am an 80-year-old community activist. This afternoon, I wish to make a brief comment about one of the fundamental rights of all citizens as related to redistricting and the drawing of the maps to maintain the rights of communities. Interest. And let me just quickly say, what is a community interest? A community of interest is a neighborhood, community, or group of people who have common policy concerns and would benefit from being maintained in a single district. Another way of understanding a community of interest is that it is a simple way for a community to tell its own story about what neighborhoods share in common and what makes it unique when compared to the surrounding communities. And let me just say, so briefly, some of the things that are also important of community of interest: safety, civic engagement, as well as honesty and equity, and all those things that have been previously said. And I wish to thank you for conveying this. And one last thing, it's an unfortunate situation where this was not held later this afternoon, so other people who could attend and give their input as well. And I wish to thank Senator Davis, Representative Smith, others on the podium there, and the Redistricting Committee for allowing me and others to share our input. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, Mr. Thompson, and then Mr. Keith Cooper.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for coming to Pitt County. My name is Sandy Smith. I'm a resident of Pitt County, a business owner, and a property owner. I'm going to do something that hasn't been done today, and I'm going to say thank you for making some huge inroads in regards to our redistricting maps on the congressional side in 2019. We need to continue looking at our congressional maps to make them more reflective of our community. For example, Eastern North Carolina is definitely more rural than Durham and Raleigh and places over in Charlotte. We need to make sure that we are drawing these districts so they are reflective. For example, we used to have Durham in the 1st district, and a lot of the residents here, we felt very disenfranchised because we were neglected. We feel that's an exact reason why we do not have broadband internet, why we don't get business incentives here, is because we were neglected because our leaders were focused on the urban areas and more, not really aligning with our rural areas. So if you could continue that progress, we appreciate that as a community. We do want these districts to be drawn compacted, so we are voting for the same people as our neighbors are, and that are not split, a street right in half or a county in half, things like that. Thank you again so much. God bless you all.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson, Mr. Cooper, and then Mr. Mark Parker.
Thank you for having me. My name is Marcus Thompson. I'm a longtime resident of both Martin and Pitt counties my whole life. And I've already gone on the records in other places saying that we need more hearings. The times of these hearings should be such that people who work can attend them. There should be a virtual option for safety. And most importantly, there should be hearings after the maps are drawn so that you can hear from the people after that. But I just wanted to take a moment and just think about the people who are here now, the people who have been speaking at all of these events across the state. Why are these people here? They're here because this is a crazy issue, redistricting. It only happens 10 years. But people are here because they care about this issue. And for everybody that's here, there's a group of people that couldn't make it to this meeting that they too care about this issue. And so you have an opportunity now. My question to you is, do you really respect the people who have come to these meetings? Do you respect them? Do you really represent them? Because if you do, then it will be represented in the process that you have going forward, whether or not you care about what these people have come in here and said, and it will be reflected in the maps that you draw. North Carolina is a 50-50 state. It's a purple state. So I truly believe that, we've had court cases. We had Democrats gerrymandering, Republicans gerrymandering, court cases. Aren't we tired of that? Aren't you tired of that? The opportunity you have right now is to put all that stuff aside and to just draw fair maps. North Carolina is a 50-50 state. As you have good people, good ideas, you will win. Regardless of what party it is, your party will win. You don't have to gerrymander. You don't have to cheat. You just have to draw fair maps, have good people, have good ideas, and we all will benefit from that. We all would benefit from that, and that's what the people really want. So if you care about the people of this state and you really respect them, you will draw fair maps, run good candidates, and then we'll all benefit.
Thank you. Thank you. Next is Mr. Cooper, then Mr. Parker, and then it looks like Mildred Surnow. I hope I didn't pronounce it. Mildred Council. I'm sorry. Thank you. I did not read that.
Good evening. To echo what the previous speaker just said, sometimes I believe that some members of the community should get together and purchase copies of Merriam-Webster dictionaries to send to all the legislators in the House and, of course, the state Senate, so that they can look up the meaning of equity, equality, and basic fairness. But let me also say that drawing maps for redistricting purposes has been controversial for decades. We too often hear that legislators may try to score partisan advantages by supporting maps scarred and tainted by cracking and packing, gerrymandering terms. Cracking, of course, means diluting voting power of the opposing party's supporters across many districts. My minute is up already?
You get two.
Okay. Across districts. Packing means concentrating the opposing party's voting power in one district to reduce their voting power in others. By now, we know that it's illegal to redistrict in a way where race is a predominant factor. This typically means, at least in North Carolina, various other parts of the world, the country, that black folks and various other people of color would be relegated to certain districts so as to dilute our vote and influence in elections. Remember Cooper versus Harris in 2016, when the district court determined that race was the predominant factor motivating the redistricting plan, and therefore that the redistricting plan was an unconstitutional racial gerrymandering or mandering that violated the Equal Protection Clause. Okay, so, and also remember that this is not a good thing to do, racial gerrymandering, and let us send packing and cracking, packing, and work towards a more equitable way to redistrict while respecting pluralism and racial and ethnic diversity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Parker, and then Ms. Council.
Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. My name is Mark Parker. I represent CARE. And one thing I want to say is just dare to be different. We have this tradition in North Carolina. It's time to be different. We've done it the old way. It's time to do it another way. Reckoning is defined as a settlement of an account. A bill is due. There's a bill due, and the representative of North Carolina have to pay that bill. We've all said the same thing. Everybody's thinking the same thing. We know the crazy uncle in this room. His name is gerrymandering. We don't want that crazy uncle for North Carolina anymore. Dare to be different. We all really came here to see something on that screen to talk about versus just seeing how we feel and see if, okay, what are the options? We don't have any options right now. We don't have any information. So you're just hearing from us. We need you to be more visible in our communities. Not just when it's a primary, not just when it's election time. We need true, honest communication. Give me the good, give me the bad, but don't belittle my intelligence. We need to change right now. North Carolina is the joke of the country. If you go all over the country, ex-military, I've been everywhere, we always talk about North Carolina. We're always in the news. Everybody thinks of us as Yokes, Hicks, whatever because of all the stuff that goes on. We need to make a change. And the change, start with you guys. We're ready for change. Everybody's saying the same message. We are ready for change. And the only way we're gonna get the change is you guys have to pay the bill and settle this account. Thank you, and gracias.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, representatives from the North Carolina General Assembly. We appreciate giving us this opportunity. I am Mildred Atkinson Council, and I am a former elected official, served 29 years in this community, 22 on the Greenville City Council, and 6 years, 9 months on the school board. So my issue today is a little different. I have been a victim of being deliberately drawn out of my district when I was on the Board of Education. And that was between 2012 and 2018. As a candidate at that time, my name was not on the ballot when I got ready to go vote. So therefore, I lost at least 3 votes. My vote, my husband's Walter's vote, and my son Logan's vote, who at the time was in Greenville. He's a diplomat, so he was here for that time at home. So I just want to say to you today, I'm representing 4 organizations: Vice President of the Pitt County Democratic Women, President of the Pitt County Chapter of Shaw University National Alumni Association, which covers 5 counties: Beaufort, Hyde, Greene, Martin, and Pitt counties, and the Eastern North Carolina Regional Association of Black Social Workers, who's been in this region for 46 years. And being a social worker by profession, retired now, we know what the deal is, and we want you to continue to represent us well through this redistricting process. And lastly, I'm representing being a volunteer leader of the Pitt County 4-H All-Stars Club. I continue to work with youth, with grooming them so they can be like you one day. So thank you. My last thing is to say, draw those lines fairly and get it right for the first time in North Carolina, because I've been through 3 of these, and I've been giving my opinion.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience? Is there anyone in the audience who signed up to speak but maybe came in late and missed hearing your name? Please come up to the podium and state your name. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Brenda Fairfax. Greenville is my home.
I left here in 1970 when we didn't have an opportunity to speak. Today, to think in 2021, we're facing this issue of redistricting, I'm going to say something that probably no one has said. I think Pitt County should be kept whole. If you look at Greenville Boulevard to the north, there's one district. If you go south, there's another district. Pitt County should be kept whole. When we go to the polls, citizens are confused. They don't know where they're supposed to vote and who they're supposed to vote for. I also think we need one representative that we can go to for cohesiveness and speak with one voice. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who did not sign up to speak but is here now, hasn't spoken yet, and would like to speak? Please approach the podium and share your name with us, please.
My name is Bobby Weatherly. I'm a resident of Greenville and Pitt County. I am a newcomer relative to North Carolina, so I am a North Carolinian by choice, and I affirm that choice today. First and perhaps foremost in my mind, I would like to respectfully ask you guys and ladies to draw some lines that don't pack African Americans in one single district. That violates, in my heart and mind, everything that the word fairness and equity means. Today, you've heard "we the people." I'm one of those. I'm also here because of the people that I'm privileged to serve. They tend to be marginalized, poor, suffering some conditions that are just bad because of the color of their skin. That does not need to be a part of our government and our political process at all. Clear the boundaries. In the process, we beg you to be transparent. And as I don't think I've heard anything this afternoon that I disagree with, but a transparent process. And let us see some maps before some final vote that we can then come here to comment on. Thank you very much for being here and for hearing us, and I know the word stop.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak, please approach the podium. State your name and the organization you represent, if there is one.
Good evening. My name is Ricky Hines. I'm Mayor Pro Tem for Winterville, and I'd just like to thank y'all for coming to Winterville and just ask you to be transparent on the maps that you draw. As you can see, today you have a variety of people, and they all bring great concerns. So please take that back and make sure that you're just transparent. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience who would like to speak, please raise your hand. One additional speaker. Please approach the podium, state your name. If you represent an organization and you'd like to share that, please do.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Saeed. I'm a resident here in Winterville, North Carolina. I'm also with Black Voters Matter, but I'm here just representing myself. I've been living in Pitt County since about 2010. This is home to me now. And I saw what happened during the aftermath of President Obama's election in 2010 and how we went through this whole fiasco. Like my friend Marcus said earlier, like, there's no reason to go through the whole process through the courts. There's no telling how much the state actually pays when you have to go to the courts back and forth. The truth of the matter is, if the fear is that packing black voters because most likely they may vote Democrats, so you can keep a Republican majority, if that's the case, that's not really true, because African Americans and people in general are not monolithic people, right? We all think different. So really, I just want to encourage folks to remember, number one, just to be fair, but secondly, after the maps is done, like, let's do this again. Like, this is a good first step. I give everyone credit. I thank everyone for being here. Lastly, a few more things. Pitt County, currently, according to the census data, we have about 180,000 people within our county. So that means that we really should be one congressional district. I can say at least the last 2 or 3 times I voted, there was different candidates for my congressional office. So it should be one congressional district. That's number one. And number two, it probably, as far as Greenville, can most likely be one Senate district. So the idea is to keep it compact, keep the contiguity, and just be fair. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other hands in the audience? Okay, I want to share a little information with the group, if I could. I'm going to give you a website address where you can get a lot of really good information, a lot of history. You have previous maps that the state has drawn and used over the years. Also, there is a public comment can be made at any time on the General Assembly website. And if you would go to ncleg.gov, so ncleg.gov/redistricting. So if you would go to that section of the General Assembly website, you will see every map that's ever been used over the last, I think, 30 years or so. Don't hold me to that, but you'll see the members of the redistricting committees for the House and the Senate. There's also, you can access and view all of the public hearings on the site. So they're posted about the day after. So you can see the meetings from other areas of the state. I believe when we get to the redistricting process, you'll see additional information added in a very timely manner there. So once we begin this, I would encourage you to visit on a daily basis, to look for updates. It's very informative. I would just like to take a moment of personal privilege and thank you for being here today. But more than that, I want to thank you for the manner in which you conducted yourself and shared your feelings. We sort of joked with our Sergeant at Arms and our General Assembly police who are here with us that we didn't really need them in Eastern North Carolina. We're a little different down this way. So give yourself a hand. We appreciate you being here and your interaction. So thank you. I know that it's been probably a long day for some of you. We heard about some of the drives, but again, on behalf of my colleagues, thank you for being here today. Thank you for your feedback. We look forward to your continued feedback and following along on that website as this process continues. And with that, I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you.